welcome OMFL to Press Pass Live, your weekly podcast show for the OMFL. It is your boy Nate and my buddy Dwayne. It has been so long, I'm all out of my game. I'm all messed up here. I'm trying to think of exactly what we're supposed to be doing. It's time for Press Pass Live. I think it's been months before we've been able to have a show with the end of Madden 17 and now the beginning of Madden 18. I don't even know numbers. I need a drink. That's what I need. I just need a cold glass of water or something to get my mind right. But Dwayne, welcome to the show, man. How you been?
Morning, Nate. Oh man, I've been good. It has seemed like it's been forever. I actually can't remember the last Press Pass Live. Maybe the start of the last season of Madden 17, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah,
But man, it seems like it's been forever.
it has. It's been a long time. We got all the way through season 73 and actually finished really strong. Um, Yeah, and so now here we are, Madden 18, season 74, and it is time to start rocking and rolling, getting these podcasts done again. But I appreciate you for joining us, and let's just jump right into it. Now, if you haven't seen the new website, you need to go check that out, daddyleagues.com/OMFL. Of course, grownfolksoc.com is our main website. Tons and tons of blogs. I think there's like 30 or 40 blogs up in the last 3 or 4 days. Guys are going crazy with the blogs, but we got a brand new Daddy Leagues website. It is not 100% finished, but we are trying to get there. So give me some time to continue to work on it. But I think that you will like what you see. And yeah, it's time that we just hop right in there and look at some. Let's look at some of these games. So let's catch up weeks 1 through 4. I can't believe that. Also, we're already into week 4, which is as crazy as it can be. So we'll look at weeks 1 and 3 and just pick out some games that kind of stuck out to you. So week 1 started out with a bang. Guys, I think we were into week 2 after just like less than 48 hours. Guys were itching to play. So look at week 1. Give me a game that stuck out to you that you want to break down and talk about a little bit here.
Um, I'll tell you one that just really stuck out right offhand. Bengals and Ravens. These two teams were solid last Madden, especially towards last season or two. Were very good. Both fighting for that division. I think Uday maybe snuck out by a game last season, winning that division. Uday came out week 1 and won a tight game at 30-24 against the Ravens to get that one up to start the season. It's a big win. These division games come up big, especially early in the season, late in the season. They pay a lot of dividends. But that was just a real big win for Houday week 1.
Yeah, I agree with you. There's a lot of really interesting games week 1, and the one that really stuck out to me was the Chiefs and the Patriots. I mean, these are two teams that are going to be battling out over in the AFC. And of course, Ducks has won many championships here, and Cincyberg is always fighting. He's always in the playoffs. He's always in the hunt right there in the AFC. And these two teams just kind of went back and forth. Now, we're still figuring out sliders. This game plays completely different, but you can see here both of these teams had 3 turnovers each. Both of these teams were at 33% on third down. It really was a difference in just a matter of a few plays. The Patriots actually had 4 sacks to only 2 from the Chiefs. The Patriots had just a little bit of less running yards, 125 for the Patriots, 171 for the Chiefs. So both these teams actually ran the ball super well, which has been a problem so far this Madden. But only 203 passing yards for the Chiefs and 229 for the Patriots. So really this game just came down to a couple of big plays. Both teams hung in there. And if you look at it, the Chiefs had more penalties, less passing yards, but the difference of the rushing yards and where those turnovers took place and turning those turnovers into points really was the difference in this game. Both of those teams played to a really good breakdown of week 1. Let me go ahead and just run you through the rest of week 1 games before we move over to week number 2. The Buccaneers fall to the Dolphins 16-19. The Lions beat the Cardinals 19-7 in a shocker because the Cardinals are actually really good, but those Lions has shown that they have some playmakers. The Broncos beat the Chargers 34-20. The Rams win 23-20. The Texans with a 31-17 victory over the Jaguars. The Bengals, like you said, 30-24 over those Ravens. Vikings 34, the Saints 21. Those Vikings are going to be a powerhouse. The Chiefs game we just covered. The Eagles with a 19-17 victory over the Redskins. A nice tight game there between two division rivals. Falcons with a 30-14 victory over the Bears. The Giants with a 24-27 win over the Cowboys. Those Cowboys have struggled, but man, they've played in some tight games. The Jets at 2-1, 27-24 over the Bills. Bills just can't buy a win, it seems, even in Madden 18. The Panthers 30, the 49ers 9, the Raiders 28, the Titans 8, the Seahawks 16, the Packers 10, the Steelers 31, the Browns 21, and that wraps up your week 1 game. So let's look over week 2 before we ask for your game. Let me go ahead and just cover them real quick. The Bears only struggled to get a field goal against the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers win 20-3. The Bills fall to the Panthers 31-21. The Ravens with a nice victory over the Browns 20-10. The Browns have a lot of potential, and I think that team really is going to turn it around. Don't look at that 0-4 record. I think he'll get things figured out. The Cowboys fall to the Broncos 24-31. The Chiefs with a 41-21 victory over the Eagles. So that is really where you see Ducks and his Chiefs begin to separate themselves. The Falcons 28-23. Your Falcons, man, are on a roll again. My Saints with a 33-20 victory over the Patriots. That was a nice tight game. Fun write-up the other day. You need to go check that out. I'm taking time to take pictures of scoring summaries and photos from each quarter of the game. So if you haven't seen that blog, you need to go check it out. The Rams with a 37-23 victory over the Redskins. I keep saying Ducks and his Chiefs, and I forget Ducks is actually the Rams now. He's at 4-0, and I forgot Rob has moved from the Cowboys to the Chiefs. So much movement. I actually forgot that. You should have corrected me. The Bengals with a 24-17 victory over the Texans. The Jaguars 37, the Titans 20. The 49ers with a 32-27 victory over the Seahawks. The Cardinals with a 20-0 victory over the Colts. The Dolphins with a 27-10 victory over the Chargers. Those Dolphins are looking really good. Again, the Jets with a 20-17 victory over the Raiders. The Lions beat the Giants 36-0, and the Vikings with a 45-10 excuse me, trummel of the Steelers. So a lot of games in week 2 that were either close or blowouts. What was the game that really stuck out to you as the game that you want to talk about?
Well, I had a couple. It really came down to the two different games, but I will go with the Vikings and Steelers, and just for the fact that just such a wow factor. Tavon with the Steelers is deadly. He's really good. He's always competing for a playoff spot, if not the division over there. And Kingpin just walked in and just demolished the Steelers. I don't know if he's got a motive this year or what he's on tear, but I think he's 3-0 so far this season. And he came in, and that's a very big, I guess you say, interconference win against the Steelers to just make a statement. So far this year, Kingpin has just been dominant. He only allowed 140 yards passing by the Steelers this game and only 80 yards rushing. And on the contrary, he had 270 yards passing and 100 yards rushing. Man, and he held the Steelers, and this is a telling tale for this game. He held the Steelers to 17% on third down, while he had 78% of his conversions. And you're not going to win many games when the defense holds you to 17%. Kingpin is just on a tear this season, and that game it just stuck out as just a wow factor, that the disparity in that game when two good guys like that play each other.
Yeah, we're working on our Daily League site, like I stated earlier. So some of these game recaps are not posting correctly, but we are working on that. We will get it fixed, but the individual stats should be on the rest of the games moving forward. But I would say the stat that you pointed out is the telling tale of 78% on third down to 17%. I mean, that is just a massive, massive difference. I want to talk about the Jets and the Raiders. Now, the Raiders are really, they're back and they're active, and he's got his team, and he's played really good ball, but that is a super talented team, whereas the Jets are not. And the Jets go and get a 20-17 victory here. Some way, somehow, the Jets are finding ways to win 4 takeaways in this game. They held the Raiders to 97 passing yards, 59 rushing yards, and they had 6 sacks. I mean, that is just unbelievable how they got after the quarterback. They turned the ball over, and they were able to just to completely shut down the Raiders. The Jets are getting it done. They're getting it done with all the defense. We may talk about them here just a little bit after we finish recapping these games. Gonna look at week 3 now. Cover these games real fast. The Bengals fall to the Packers 23-43. That was kind of a shocker that none of us seen there, but you know what? Huday's had a lot going on in his life, and so it kind of makes sense. The Colts with a 23-7 victory over the Browns. The Vikings stay undefeated with a 20-14 victory over the Buccaneers. The Chargers 42, the Chiefs 35. So the Chargers really coming through with a big victory there. The Cardinals 24, the Cowboys 3. The Eagles 31, the Giants 10. The Redskins 17, the Raiders 13. Patriots with a 37-22 victory over the Texans. The Broncos with a 33-27 victory over the Bills. And the Bills are playing really tight, close games, but just can't seem to buy a victory. The Dolphins with a 27-16 victory over the Jets. The Falcons with a 24-10 victory over the Lions. The Rams with a 34-10 victory over the 49ers to stay undefeated. The Ravens with a 38-21 victory over the Jaguars, who've kind of stumbled out of the block here. The Saints with a 17-12 victory over the Panthers. The Seahawks shut out the Titans 23-17. And finally, the Steelers barely sneaked by the Bears 17-14. And that's a look at your week 3 games. Which one stuck out to you?
Well, like I said, we had quite a few good ones this week, and I'm actually gonna go off my script after you went through them. I'm gonna go off the 2 games I had picked. I'm gonna go with the Chargers and Chiefs, and I say this because it was a must-win game, and most week 3 wins aren't a must-win game this early in the season. But if the Chargers did not win this game, and I know the Chargers is Dawson, who moved from the Rams to LA. I guess all he did was switch from LA to LA, Rams to the Chargers. He needed that win. He was done, shot in that division if he didn't come out and beat the undefeated Chiefs this game. And he came out, and the score is a little more telling than it was, and because Rob made a big comeback, but it was 42-21 going into the fourth quarter of this game. Chargers were just dominant from start to finish, but he needed that win. And it's one of the ones where this could be a telling tale towards the end of the season that if he didn't win this game, and he was done. He would have been 0-2 in the division. And you cannot fall behind when you have Rob, Glaze, and the Raiders in that division. You just can't afford to start out the season 0-3.
No, 100%. 245 rushing yards for the Chargers and 5 sacks. I mean, that's a pretty telling stat right there. They played really big play ball where they actually made some really big plays on the defensive side. And when you run the ball that well, you're just going to get play after play after play. It's just going to eat clock. And that's a really good thing for them. The game that I'm going to point out is the Dolphins and the Jets. Now, the Dolphins have been red hot right here out of the league here. They started out 3-0 and actually had a good game with me this past week. But the Jets, again, is that surprise team. If you look at this game again, the Dolphins only allowed 19 rushing yards. I mean, you got to let that sit in just a little bit. Only 19 rushing yards. They did have the 2 takeaways, though. The big difference was the third down percentage. No rushing attack for the Jets. On third down, the Dolphins were 67%. The Jets were 14%. So you don't have a rushing game. You only have 14% on third down completion percentage. It's just that's going to be a stat that's going to come back and get you. It's going to be really tough to win games. And the Dolphins have this really unique team that if he can continue to get good quarterback play, his defense is really opportunistic and they make really good plays. That was the game that stuck out to me. Those Dolphins, again, one of those teams that up and down, we talked about them all in Madden 17. They never quite could get over that hump. Let's see what happens in Madden 18. 3-0 is a really good start for the Dolphins. All right, let's take a look at some of the other stuff that's going on. Let's look at some standings right now. We're going to take a look at the league standings. Let's look at the AFC. I want to look at the AFC and the NFC and just kind of break down both of these divisions, maybe even some predictions. But What do you think about the AFC so far? We're actually 4 games deep. We're finishing up week 4 right now. But what do you feel about 3 games deep in the record books, and what do you kind of see happening in the AFC?
All right. Well, I'll start in the AFC East. It's been like I said, it's been a real competitive year. You have a lot of disparity, especially in a couple of these divisions. We'll leave the fourth one to be talked about down there, the South. I want to hate on y'all a little bit. But the East, man, like I said, that you were just talking about the Dolphins. Dolphins have kind of hung in there every season and been right there on the brink. I actually think one season last time they made it to the playoffs and just had just a meltdown in the fourth quarter and lost a playoff game. Um, but they're in the driver's seat right now. And like I said, that win against the Jets gives them a 1 game advantage over them, gives them a 1-0 in the division. Um, but they have the Jets, Patriots breathing down their neck, and a very good Bills team. Like I say, he's 0-4. He's been in most of his games. He's been in the game. He's still trying to figure out his team. Um, but the Dolphins right now are in the driver's seat in that division, and unless something changes, man, he's playing some really good football. He's got the best defense in his division right now. He's only giving up 18 points a game. Um, especially if he can get his vertical passing game going like he used to have it, he'll be really scary. Um, the AFC West, like I said earlier, that division is just loaded. You have the Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. You have 4 good users right there, um, and 3 of them that are 3 of the top offensive-minded guys in the Broncos, Chiefs, and Raiders. And that's nothing on Dawson, but Dawson just he plays a real good defense, running game, control the ball. Um, but the other 3 teams, man, they just want to shoot out. The Broncos 32, and the Raiders have kind of stumbled out the gate at 22 points per game, but a bit more. That division's come down to the last week. I actually think that you'll win it. The Chargers had a big win over the Chiefs. The Raiders beat the Broncos, and I know we haven't covered Week 4, but they just beat the Broncos in Week 4. Um, so technically, the Raiders are the only one unscathed so far in the division. And want to know, I think that can, and the Chargers to me are a team that could surprise out of that division. I think that their defenses, because if you know anything about them other 3 teams, especially the Broncos and Chiefs, they want to outscore you. Neither one of them have ever been known for their top flight defense. That's not just offensive minded juggernauts. That division will be fun to watch the rest of the year. And the AFC North is another division. You got 3 teams in the Bengals, Ravens, Steelers who could win this division, and no shot at the Browns. And I think Chaotix even know this. It's the building season. I think he's figuring out his team. He's going to get his team in place. I think this is a filling out process. And with that being said, those top 3 teams better not sleep when they play the Bills. I mean, the Browns. They better not walk in think they got to win. The Browns could be a team that might cost somebody a playoff uh, chance, especially late in the season when these divisions get tight. The Bengals, Ravens, Steelers. I think the Bengals are 2-0 in the division. The Ravens are 2-1. You got some really good teams there, and like I said, I think it comes down to the very last week or 2. But I'm going to give it to the Bengals until somebody can prove to me they can knock Houday off. And I know Houday don't have, he's still working to get his team in place. But man, he's hard to beat. And until somebody can knock him off at the end of the season, I'm gonna have to give him, Houday the division right now. And the AFC South, I told you I was gonna hate on you guys. I don't know. It's almost like the NFC North was 3 or 4 seasons ago. AFC North. Does anybody want to win the division?
Yeah.
Everybody's starting out as a sub 500 division. The Jags and Colts are 1-2. The Titans and Texans are 1-3. And you guys know y'all are better than that. Like I said, I haven't got to play the Colts yet, but the other 3 teams I played all of y'all, and y'all are way better than y'all's records right now. I know there's probably a filling out process, getting used to, but 3 of y'all have the same teams y'all had last Madden. I know this is a whole different game, but I expected, especially Brady, if anything, those other 3 guys were filling out. I figured Brady to come out of the gate, punching, swinging, and I figured he'd be 2-0 or 3-0 coming out of the gate. This division, like I said, is up in the air because you got everybody's sub 500 right now. The Jaguars have really good offense right now, and the only thing that worries me about them is he's always been such a juggernaut on defense, and he's got Fournette, which gives him the opportunity to run the ball, control the game. and let his defense win games for him. And so far, he's given up almost 30 points a game. I do think he'll turn that around, but he's got to turn around fast because any one of these teams can start winning games. They'll take a hold of this division. I am going to give the division right now to if I had to give it to anybody, it's going to be the Jaguars. I do think Brady will figure out his defense. These other guys better hope that they get their stuff together before he does, because once he starts winning, they might not have time to catch up.
Yeah, the AFC's got some weird
That's
things
my
going on. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. There's some intriguing teams. Just kind of quickly, I don't want to rehash everything. I think you hit the nail on the head. The AFC East is one of the more intriguing divisions for me, just because the Dolphins are actually playing really good football right now. Um, my worry is that they haven't proven that they can win that big game, the game that they really need to win. The Jets are the wild card. We don't know, can this team continue to win without an offense? Can they just do it on the defensive side of the ball? I don't think anyone here has ever done that. And then the Patriots, I think, will always be there. I have to go with Old Faithful. I got to go with the Patriots. I think that he has the best stacked team coming right out of the box. Plus, he knows how to play. As soon as we get these sliders adjusted, Chaotic's working so hard on those. I think it will be much, much, much better. The Dolphins, I think, have the potential, and so do the Jets. The Jets are just a huge unknown. They just don't have an offense, and the Dolphins just have to show me that they can win a big game. They stumbled with me in London this past week, so again, he needs to win that big game. Looking at the AFC West, it's going to be about the Chiefs. I think the West is the most intriguing conference or division for me, because the Broncos are always there. They're always one of the top teams. They usually have won the West by default in the past. The Chiefs are one of those teams that you wonder if this is real, because Rob came over from Dallas. Dallas was his home team, his favorite team. He wanted a new adventure, and he's playing super well right now. He's got a great point differential. He's 3-1. He's looking really, really good. The problem with Rob is he hasn't proven that he can actually sustain that, and so that's why I wonder about that. The Oakland Raiders have a super talented team. He seems to be a little bit more into his team this Madden. Things have kind of slowed down a little bit, but he is sitting at 2-2. And then I personally know what Dawson can do. If Dawson has a down season, which he may this year, that team will be back. He will build that team to fit his style. That will be a team that will make you fight for every yard and every game. Looking at the North, another division that you just wonder what's going to happen here. Here's the problem. The Bengals, I think, win by default, but he's got a 24 points against him, points for. He's got a 0 point differential, but yeah, he's 3-1. So he's figured out a way to win some of these tight, close games, but he's not running away with it as he has in the past. A 0 point differential is a worry there, whereas the Ravens have a 7 point differential, so he's got some close games. He's at 3-1, but again, we haven't seen enough from him to know, can he keep this up long term. Chaotic, I think, will have a down year this year, but he'll bounce back. He'll get that team where he wants it. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, Tavon, I just don't know, right? We don't know, can he do this? He's sitting at 2-2. He hasn't shown us in the past. He's one of my favorite owners here. He's a big part of OMFL too. Super talented team, but a team that's going to get old on him really, really fast. So if he doesn't win this year, he's going to have to rebuild quick. And then you hit it. The AFC South is a head scratcher. Massimo took his Texans back. He's probably got the best quarterback in the game. That can he can make every throw, he can run the ball, he can do it all. The Tennessee Titans have always been one of those talented teams. I really expected that team to at least be 500 through the first quarter of the season. The Colts, you just don't know. He's not scoring points, he's not allowing points either. 14 points scored for 16 against. Great defense, one of the better defenses in the AFC, but no offense. The Titans, where are your offense? 12 points through 4 games. It's 3 points a game. It's not good. And the Jacksonville Jaguars are scoring the points that you need to win games. 25 points for, but 29 points against. That's not Brady football. Brady football is defense, run the ball down your throat, eat up the clock. You find yourself losing by 10 with 2 minutes left to go. Now you're scrambling. You throw a big pick. Brady wins. That's usually how Brady plays ball. That's not what's going on in Jacksonville with a very talented squad. Give me I'm gonna go out on a limb. I really do think the Texans are gonna get this figured out. They just have too talented of a team not to. I think the Texans will win the
Mm-hmm.
South. I like the Bengals in the North. I do think that the Broncos are going to win the West, but that's up in the air, and then giving the Patriots in the East. So now let's turn our attention to the NFC. Now the NFC's got a lot of movement, right? A lot of old faces have come back and taken on some old teams. Ducks has got a super talented team there in Los Angeles with the Rams. Minnesota, the Kingpin and his Vikings are playing extremely well. And then what I think is going to be or could be one of the better divisions in the whole league, and that's the NFC South. Of course, your team is sitting at 4-0. Bill and his Buccaneers are going to be willing to win tight, close games, especially down the stretch. And then you've got Colin coming over and taking over a super talented Carolina Panthers team. So a lot of movement there. How do you see the NFC shaking out?
Um, well, you got you said there. I'll leave the NFC South at the end. I'll start the NFC East. And in a division to me that's disappointed me a little bit. And I don't want to think I don't want Maniac to think I'm beating a dead horse here, but I expected more from the Cowboys. But I do think the Cowboys will get it figured out. I think he's 0-4. Redskins 1-3, Giants 1-3, the Eagles 2-1. Them other three teams, Giants, Redskins, Cowboys, better hope they get it together before Ziploc and the Eagles or Andrew and the Eagles takes off for that division. Because once he gets his guys in place, he runs such a good defense and he controls the ball. He doesn't beat himself, and that's a really tough opponent to play. And these other guys, man, you can't let him get a gap. You can't let him get a 3 or 4 game lead because you're not gonna be able to come back from it. I do think the Eagles. I think they got too much of a gap. I think the Giants, Redskins are very good players. And I think Maniac, it might be too late by the time he gets it together to win the division. I'm not just counting him out on the wild card, but I think the Eagles going to win that division just for the fact that it seems like they got their game plan and stuff together already, and the other three teams are still trying to work out the kinks so far this season. Um, and NFC West, you got the Rams, Seahawks, 49ers, Cardinals. You got a really
A
solid.
good division.
Um, and I said, I said a real good. I said you might have the best defensive division in them three guys. You have the Rams, who, Ducks is always dominant defensively. Mo is really, I mean, giving up only 14 points a game. He is really I say on the low, but he's a deceptive, really good defensive player for a guy that most people know is just an offensive juggernaut. The 49ers, I know he's given up 28 points a game so far this season. That's misleading. He's a very good defensive player. He's won the last few seasons in Madden 17 on just being a defensive-minded guy. He always plays with. I even tell him this himself. He plays just a subpar quarterback and still wins 8 to 10, 11 games a year. I would hate to see if he had a star quarterback at the helm there. And the Cardinals, I know he came in late in Madden 17, but he was a really good defensive guy. He's only giving up 13 points a game. If he can get an offense behind that defense, he'll be really scary. But until somebody knocks off Ducks in that division, it's Ducks' division to lose. He's 4-0 so far this season. Like I said, the Rams, the Seahawks are 0-1 the division. The 49ers are 2-1. I think actually all three of them teams can give Ducks a run. But man, you got to bring your A game. You got to play your best game against Ducks because he's going to come out and he's going to run his game plan every game. And until somebody can knock the Rams off, I think I'm going to have to give that one to Ducks. But it's going to be a very tight division. I think actually one of them teams will probably win a wild card out of the division. All you can say right now is the Vikings. They're so dominant, 33 points a game, only giving up 15. I mean, you're talking about 18, almost a 3 touchdown differential average right now in their games. You got DBL in the lines, in his lines, and he's playing great this year. He's only giving up 10 points a game. I played him this season. He played really good. He had a few drops that really cost him in our game. That's just the way Madden goes sometimes. But he played really solid, and he'll be a real contender to go with the Vikings this year. I don't think the Lions and Vikings, either one of them has played in division games so far this year. The Packers, after starting at 0-2, have won 2 in a row to show some life. And Priest is one to where if Priest gets on a roll, man, he's scary because he's unstoppable. And I've seen that happen before where he can get on a roll with Rodgers and he can just score a lot of points. And Outlaw and his Bears, a good story because I know Outlaw really wanted his Bears and Trubisky. I hope I didn't mispronounce his name. But for some reason, for the first 2 games, you didn't start him.
Is he
Started
starting
Glennon.
him now?
And He's starting now. Yes, I've seen
Okay,
the
it's
last two
because I
games.
mean, if you're going to
Mhm.
be 0-4, you better be 0-4 with your quarterback of the future getting some XP.
You're exactly right. He started out 0-2 with Glennon, and Glennon didn't play horrible, but he didn't throw a touchdown the first two games. Zero touchdowns, seven interceptions. It wouldn't have took me that long to take him out. Trubisky hadn't did much better. He got two touchdowns and six interceptions, uh, but he showed some life. I think that he lost 17-14 against a very good Steelers team with Trubisky's first game, and man, you gotta ride that young gun. You gotta ride him, um, play it out. I think this is a building process for the Bears, especially you got three veterans in that division who are all solid, and I think it's too far for Outlaw, and I hate to say it, 4 games into the season, too far, but it's too far out right now for him to be able to compete with the Vikings, Lions, and Packers. He'll put it together, and I know Outlaw's a good player, and I think he'll put together a better season next year. But he just needs to get Trubisky in there and get a game plan under him. But I do think the Vikings and Lions will be fighting for this division, and I'm very intrigued. I would love to do a game in the week on their game when they play because you got two really good players going to go at it. Um, I'm not going to call a division yet. I'm going to say Vikings, Lions. It'll come down to whoever one of them two. No disrespect to the Packers, but I think those two are just a notch above everybody else in that division right now. And then we go, and I might be a little biased, but to me, this is the deepest division. Um, you got four proven winners, and you got just solid players. I mean, there's no gimmicks in this division. You got really good offenses and really good defenses. Um, this division, I think I haven't played a division game yet. I think you and Colin, actually everybody's played a division
No,
game. No,
oh
yeah,
yeah,
you and Colin are the only
y-
ones that played division games so
right,
far.
right.
But like I said, you got the Falcons at 4-0, the Saints at 3-1, the Buccaneers and Panthers 2-2. But both of those easily could have been 3-1. They both lost very close games, and so you're looking at a division right there that, like I said, could be 4-0, 3-1, 3-1, 3-1. Um, Man, it's going to be tough. These division games are going to be fun to watch this year because, like I said, you got you with your Saints. I know you're glad to be back home. You got Bill, and Bill is just known for his juggernaut defense, uh, playing just pro style offense. And Colin was Colts, and Tim had a better roster with the Panthers all around defensively, and he's got more weapon with the Panthers. And man, this division is going to be fun to watch from here to the end of this match. And if we can keep this division together, I think it'll be a really good division rivalries. Um, I'm not going to call it. Like I said, you got 4 teams within 2 games so far. Um, I'm just really intrigued to play my new NFC South opponents and see how this season goes.
Yeah, you and I have had some classic playoff battles and regular season battles, so I think that that'll be fun. And then having Bill back around and Colin like that, just a lot of really fun games there. My quick rundown, looking at the NFC East. Yeah, this is one of those games that are just going to be by default. Three of these teams are losing the point differential in their games. We're talking almost 50 for the Washington. They're 40 minus 47 and almost 60 for the Cowboys and the Giants. I mean, these teams are just massive point differentials. I mean, none of them are able to get the offense and defense figured out. I know with the new sliders, some of that stuff will come back to the pack. We are trying to get the running game. Chaotic feels like he's got it spot on. So this next advance, we'll try him out, and I think you'll see some improvement there. But the Eagles are going to win this division simply by default. But you're looking at a team that has a 3-point differential, averaging 1 point more than the points that they allow. So it's really up for grabs. Anybody can win it, and it's still early enough where that division can turn around. You look at the NFC West. You hit the nail on the head. Talk about teams that can play defense. Uh, the 49ers are probably one of the best, if not the best, defensive minds in our league, and he has the worst defense in his own division at 28 points per game. The rest of the teams, 13, 14, 13. You're talking about massive point differentials in the positive for all these teams outside of San Francisco. He's had it the other way, but again, a team lack of talent, very young, a team that I think in one more season after he gets to kind of draft an off season of his own, it's going to be a really, really good team. I think that the Rams are going to be atop of that. until other teams can prove otherwise. The Cardinals are going to push. Seahawks are going to be the team really that are going to contend with the Rams. And I think that's going to be some instant classic games between Mo and Ducks there. Looking at the NFC North, I think you've got four teams that are trying to figure out who they are, except for the Vikings. The Vikings know who they are. Point differential of 54 points. He's scoring 33, only allowing 15. His quarterback is unstoppable. He is playing extremely, extremely good football. The Detroit Lions and Double Zero are starting to get on a little roll here, but Double Zero is his own worst enemy. I don't know how he's going to fare against the Vikings. That will be the telltale that if they can figure it out, right? They are playing extremely good defense, only averaging 10 points per game on defense. If he can hold the Vikings down and still keep his offense rolling, that could be a really good divisional matchup. The Packers can surprise us. Last time I wrote him off, he made a run and I think got a wild card and made it into the playoffs. So, look, I don't discount them, but Aaron Rodgers has turned the ball over way too many times. And the poor Chicago Bears, an outlaw. I'm glad he's got his team. Thanks for starting Trubisky. You should have done that in week one. That is a fun team to play with. I got to play a couple test games with them, and man, they are really, really fun to play with. And I think Outlaw will get the hang of this game. If life has settled down for him, he'll get it going. And then finally, the NFC South, easy for me to say. Your Atlanta Falcons, right? It's all about your team. They're 56-point differential. You're scoring 27, only allowing 13. You're the king of the hill, right? Our champion from season 73. You've got 3 championships in Madden 17. So until teams prove otherwise, you're the team to beat. I feel like I've gotten really lucky. I've turned the ball over like 10 times in the last 2 games. Like just something stupid. I'm just throwing way too many interceptions. I got to get that figured out. The Buccaneers will get things figured out, as will the Panthers. Just this will be a fun division to kind of see where it ends up and kind of where it goes. But I think I'm going to take the Eagles, the Rams, the Vikings, and the Falcons. I think the NFC is pretty much set in stone until other teams prove otherwise, because that's going to be a really loaded division. So now we've talked about briefly some teams that have surprised us. So give me one team that you think will surprise us from each division. Who do you think will be the teams that really come out of nowhere, make a run in the playoffs, or even win a division from both the AFC and the NFC?
Okay, I'll start in the AFC East, and you touched on it a little bit earlier, and I don't think the sleeper slash surprise, but I think the Jets could be the team out of the AFC East. He's played really solid so far, and and I say this because I play with the Jets in the OMFL too. Is the Jets are pretty strapped, honestly, roster wise, especially offensively. Man, defensively they got some players. Offensively, to play as good as he's playing with that roster. Um, just really unpredictable. He must be really good on the sticks. I haven't played Smash, um, but they're my pick out of the AFC East to possibly come out and steal that division or even steal a wild card. In the AFC West, I'll have to go with who I was talking about earlier. If you want to go with the surprise, I think that the Chargers, if them other guys in that division let him get his ball rolling, he can be scary. I mean, if you think about it, last Madden, he had when he was with the Rams, he had some 8-win season, 7-win season. Then he went to a 14-win season when he got on a roll. You can't let him get momentum and get into a groove. And if they let him, like say, he came up with a big win against the Chiefs, um, I think he could be a surprise in that division. I think that they might overlook him a little bit, especially early on, since he's at the bottom right now. But I think they might overlook him, and you just can't let the Chargers get the momentum. In the North, like I said earlier, they're not really surprised to steal the division, in my opinion. But the Browns, especially this year, but the Browns are a team that could dictate who wins this division, because if some of these teams overlook Chaotix, I know he's giving up 23 points a game right now. He's never been an offensive juggernaut per se, and that's no disrespect to his team. He just plays such a defensive-minded game. Um, he could dictate that division without actually winning that division. He could, especially as close as the records will be, he could win a game here or there, and actually dictate who wins that division. Um, and the South is the Titans. And I used to have a preseason rivalry against Tennessee. We played each other every preseason, and he beat me every preseason. I think he's the only person I think I haven't beat. I don't know if I've ever beat him. Um, He and like I said, he's 1-3 to start the season, only averaging 12 points a game. Scoring has never been a problem for him. If anything, it was the opposite. He's always been so good with Mariota, Henry, Murray. I think if he gets his act together, he could win that division. I know I picked the Jaguars to win it, and I know you picked the Texans to win it, but I do think the Titans, if they get their act together, and right, like I said, right now they got a 58-point differential.
Yeah, it's massive.
They've got to
It's
figure something out.
yeah, it's the biggest in their division.
It would be a heck of a surprise if they do it. But he's got to figure it out offensively. First day one, I mean, from now on, he's a quarter way through the season. You're 1-3. Man, you need to win at least 3 out of the 4 every quarter for the rest of the way out. You got to win. And like I said, the winner of this division, if they don't get their stuff together, they might be a 7, 8, 9 win team out of this division. And like I said, I think that keeps the Titans in play as long as the Jaguars don't go on a roll, or if Texans and like I said, Trainer, he's got probably the best quarterback in the league. If he gets on a roll, he's scary. But I do think the Titans, if they get their stuff together, they're a team that can beat anybody on any given day. And go over to the NFC East. And like I said, I kind of touched on a little bit earlier. I know I kind of gave myself away in the earlier one. Is my surprise the Cowboys. If the Eagles by chance slip up, if they slip up and Maniac can get his stuff together, and mark my words, he will get his stuff together.
Yeah, I agree.
I think his love for the Cowboys and just pride is not going to let him keep sliding like this. I think he gets it together. I think that the defense gets a little bit, brings that 27 points per game down, and I think he gets that 12 points for. I think he gets that in the mid 20s to low 30s. I think once he's on his game, if you remember last Madden, him in the Tampa Bay, man, he was ridiculously good. And I'm biased, but Tampa Bay is not built as good as the Cowboys are, especially offensively. And I think if Ziploc slips at all, I think he'll open the door just a slight bit for the Cowboys to move in and take that division. NFC West, and this is kind of a surprise even for me because I'm really high on the other 3 teams. I think the Cardinals are such a good defensive team. I think they could slide in there, and worst case they get a wild card, but I think they could challenge Ducks for the division. I think he's got a secondary, as you know, since you were the Cardinals last Madden, that is really good. And I think he's a really good defensive-minded player. I think if he can just be adequately good on offense, I think he could compete, and I think he could give the Rams fits in this division. And I know he started out so far 0-1 the division, but he has a defense to win. He just got to prove to me he can win the big games. Last Madden, he won some games and he played real good, but he never could win that big one. And to be a champion, to be a playoff contender here, you got to win the big game. And honestly, every time you play, especially when he's in your division, you got to win those games. NFC North is the Packers. Vikings speak for themselves. I think they're both really good. To me, the number 1 team in the OMFL right now. Just they're so hot. They're playing so good offensively. I don't know if anybody's been able to even slow him down. The Lions are always real good defensively, and like I said, he's got his hometown team. Anybody here that has their team, their favorite team, is to me even more dangerous because they just have that pride pushing them to games. But the Packers, like you said, you picked against them last Madden, and they went on a roll and just tore it up. The Packers can get hot. They're one of the teams I've seen them go so cold. They started out, I think, one season last Madden 0-3, 0-4, and ended up making a wild card out of it. If he gets on a roll, man, he is scary good. And like I said, he's another guy. The Packers are his team. He bleeds cheese, I guess you'd say, if you want to go with that. But he loves his Packers, and he can get on a roll, and he can beat anybody on any given day, and he's proven that. In the NFC South, the team that gets me, and we've talked about him earlier, is Colin. All 4 of these teams have real reputable reputations. Everybody knows they're good. And there's really no sleepers in this division. Any 4 of these teams can win this division. Any 4 of these teams can win a championship. The Panthers, though, man, what he did with the Colts last Madden was ridiculous. And offensively, he was one of the best players to play against. I think the one time I played Colin last Madden, he crushed me. I think he might have given me my worst loss I've had in Madden. That's great. Now he's in my division. But the Panthers are a better team all around to me. Defensively, offensively, he's got the best linebacker in the league. He's got Cam Newton at quarterback. You got Kelvin Benjamin, a huge target. And you got one of the best young running backs in the league. Man, it's going to be hard to stop him. I haven't quite watched a lot of film on him yet. I've watched a few of his games, but I do like to dissect a little bit before I play somebody. And I haven't got to watch him, but I know he's using McCaffrey in kind of a hybrid role. And I just think if he gets on a roll and it gets to where he gets used to these Panthers, he could really surprise and take this division. And nonetheless, I do think the NFC South is going to have two teams out of it in the playoffs. Um, Stretching it, saying two wild card teams, I don't think we'll have come out. One, it'll be you have your division winner, you have a wild card team out of here. Um, but the Panthers are a team that I think could surprise a lot of people, even though, like I said, it's not really a surprise because all four of these teams could do a lot of damage.
Yep, I think I'm gonna give you mine real quick. One in the AFC and the NFC, and you've hit up on them a lot. I'm super intrigued by the Jets. They're one of the teams I think is could surprise a lot of people, especially if they're able to get things figured out on offense. I got to go with the Oakland Raiders. I think that he's in a very winnable division, but a very tough division, probably the toughest. But that team is just so loaded with talent from running back to quarterback to receiver to offensive line defense. I mean, they just have playmakers all over. If I had to pick a team that I think in the AFC that would truly surprise people, that would be the team that I would go with. I think that they just have to figure out some things on defense. Then that team will be much, much better. I like the fact that they're 2-1 on the road. They're 1-0 in the division. They're 2-1 in the conference. There's a 15-point differential there, so he's winning some tight games. I think that will do him well as we go down the stretch here. Looking at the NFC, you hit a lot of really good points here, but I think that a lot of the NFC is pretty set in stone outside of those bottom teams. And I did look at the Carolina Panthers. I did look at the Detroit Lions. I would call them a surprise because you 0-0 again is his worst nightmare. And but I'm going to go with the Green Bay Packers, and you did hit on them just a bit. And here's why I kind of chose them over the Carolina Panthers is because both the Carolina I think plays a little bit better defense, the Packers a little bit better on offense. There is a 27-point differential, 25-point for the Carolina Panthers. But here's what I like is that the Packers are 2-1 at home and they're 1-0 in the division, whereas the Carolina Panthers are 1-1 at home and they're 0-1 in the division. Super, super early, a lot of ball to play still. I think that you hit it though. The Packers are always one of those teams that surge late. You start cruise controlling it. You think you're going to walk into Green Bay and get an easy win, and then you look up and you lost 37-30, and he just ran for 250 yards on you. Like Green Bay can't do that to you. He's going to have to stop turning the ball over with Aaron Rodgers. That has been his Achilles heel for a very long time. But I do like the way this team is kind of shaping up for him. And I know that one thing you're going to get with Priest, he's never going to unplug. He's always going to be plugged in with his team. He's always going to be super active, and he's going to get a really, really good ball game from him. So that's a look at our surprises from all the different leaders that we have here in Madden 18. So before we move on to kind of some outside of the league segments, which is going to kind of move this Press Pass Live, we're going to move that to the next next week or later this weekend, I should say. We're actually going to do a Commish Talks segment. But what are your overall thoughts about Madden 18? It's one of those games that there's the great divide. People either love it or they hate it, and they're super passionate about both. So, what are your thoughts about Madden 18?
You said it right there. You have a really kind of divided line. Some people really love it. Some people are not liking it so much. And I think a lot of it to me is a mindset. I think if you talk yourself into the fact that you think the game is broke or you think the game is against you, then you're not going to play well. You're not going to react well. And I think some of these guys have in their head that Madden's just out to get them. And I honestly, I know we're really high on 17, but I Madden 18 so far, just in the fact that tackling mechanics are better. To me, a lot of guys they're well and complaints. I might not be as picky as a lot of guys, but I've really liked it so far. And like I said, I like the fact that they hit stick a lot. Or if you don't hit it right, you're not going to hit it where within 5 yards of them they fumble it. And I still think the hit stick and fumbling a little. But I do think that they got the reward. And I'll tell you, somebody, if you watch Le'Veon Bell with Tavon controlling him, and he'll make you look stupid. I've seen it that have kind of got the team so far, have made it look really good. And I have nothing but positive to say about it. And man, as much as like chaotic, calm, right. And I think guys should realize that, man. There's a lot of hours y'all put in on trying to and first this thing, that I think we're real close. I think we're right there at it. And the Madden 18 game itself to me has been great. And now you're getting the sliders to go with it. I think it's really good so far, and I'm really excited about it.
Yeah, I think that I'm super excited just because our website is getting so much flow and guys are really buying into using the recap wizard as an easy way to write blogs. And so there's a lot of website activity. The new Data Leagues page is up. It's far from being complete. I think that as we can continue to move on, that it will get better and better and better, and I'll continue to improve it. Um, so there's a lot of positives. I think if you talk about the game itself, I love the coach adjustments and the ability to have that. I love being able to match cornerbacks up by overall or speed or height or whatever you want. I love the opportunity to, if you want to gamble, you can set your defensive line to aggressive. But you just know that if you get fake snapped one time, you're going to be offsides. Like, I love that kind of stuff. I think it just adds. I do think it needs to be tapered. I don't think it's perfect, but I think that if they taper it just a little bit, things will be much, much, much improved. And again, Chaotic has been killing himself to get these sliders right, and we really are working hard. We've put hours and hours and hours into testing, and I get it, right? I get that guys are super passionate about their game and what they're doing, but we're trying, right? We're getting it as close as we possibly can. And I think that there are just a lot of positives. Press Pass Live is back finally. I will get Game of the Week rolling again this week. The Dad Leagues website, the Twitter, the YouTube page, just lots of good stuff. We're one of the best leagues out there, and that's why we won Data Leagues League of the Year, and it's because of our owners, a lot of old faces that had to leave because of life are now back. And so just a lot of good things. The OMFL 2 is almost full. Madden Ballers Club is almost full. The Golf League, there's just a lot of things in our community that are going well. And I think it all bleeds into Madden 18. So it kind of transitioned us, though, to our last segment of Commish Talks. And I just kind of wanted to do just a quick segment and then get your feedback on just a couple of things I've been noticing, um, just overall about the vibe. And that is that we try to protect our main chat. There's a main grown folks community chat and then our main OMFL chat. Really try to protect what goes on in there because those chats can determine the vibe of your community, whether it's good or bad, up or down. And I think lately, over the past 2 weeks, there really has been a bad vibe. There's been a lot of negativity, and I've been honest. I've had some PMs with people, some private conversations, and I've been honest with them that I don't understand where that's coming from so quickly. I don't get how guys have went 0 to 100 within the first 4 weeks of Madden 18. That just doesn't make sense to me. I can get it after a season, after 2 seasons of, this game is just grating my nerves, but man, so quickly guys have given up on this game. And I just encourage guys, like, let's keep it out of main chat. Like, you can be unhappy and say things. This is not, some kind of dictatorship. But at the same time, I can't have you just getting in the main chat and just railing on how bad this game is and how you wish you would have quit and you should quit now, and just like that just kills the vibe. As your commissioner, it kills my vibe. Like, I work really hard on videos, on production, on shows, on content, on Data League pages, on everything that I try to
Hey,
do.
out on us.
Oh yeah, you were cutting out on us too. I think it's the internet in this building that I'm in. Can you get me now?
I can hear you a little bit. It's just kind of staticky, kind of cutting out here a little bit.
All right, hold on one second. Let me see if I can make a quick adjustment here because I am not at home, and so this means that my settings are probably too high for this internet. Let's try this. Let me make one more quick adjustment. This is why you have a live show, right? This is I've said it a billion times. We are not we are not professionals here. So let me see if this will work. Am I still breaking up really bad?
I can hear you better now.
Okay, cool. Well, I've adjusted a few settings. I hope that's much better. But anyway, like I was saying, I hope that, and I'm doing a recording. So if it comes out on the stream, if the stream's been bad because of the internet here, I'll take it down and put up the recording. But anyway, like I was saying, it kills the vibe because I work so hard, and it just feels like guys are so unhappy that all that hard work is for naught. So I just encourage you guys to give this game a chance. We're working on the sliders. I think that they will patch it again and do some other things, and we may have to readjust our sliders again. But we have to take the long term view here. And the long term view is that we will figure things out. It won't always be this way, and we will get things wrapped up to where it's much, much, much better. Please check out the Data League's website. Send me suggestions, find bugs. It's going to take me a while to get this thing totally wrapped up, but I'm working on it. So find those things, send me your suggestions, get me some photos. I'm looking for somebody because I just don't have the time. If nobody can do it, I'll make the time. They can make a video, just pull videos from all the games that have been played so far and make a highlight video that we can put on the front page instead of the real NFL video that's up there now. So lots of good things with that. Adding Madden Ballers Club to our community is a big theme. Make those guys feel welcome. Get to know them. I know that a lot of them don't talk a ton in our main chat, and we kind of let them do their thing. It's not a requirement to talk to us, but create a welcoming vibe, like create a true vibe like you have in the OMFL, in the OMFL2, in the grown folks community chat, in the golf league, in the wrestling league, in the FIFA is going to be back here soon. We've all kind of given it a break, but the new game drops in like 2 weeks. So lots of really good things to be excited about. I just want to see the attitudes get better. Gameplay, Chaotic has said, has not been bad. Guys are pretty much getting good reviews. There are some things out there that we're working on and still fixing, and guys are working on. But I think the guys that have gotten the one-on-one talks have improved their gameplay, and it is getting better. I just see a lot more good to be excited about than the bad there is to complain about. And again, I get it. Guys don't want to lose. Guys don't want to lose with their home team. Guys don't want to get blown out every game. That's not fun. But take the long view, and I hope that this league offers more than just the play, and that we can fill in the gaps whenever the play isn't fun. But if you are here just for play and you don't like the sliders and you're not winning, then you won't have fun. And I don't beg guys to stay. And so if you're going to leave, cool, do it the right way. We'll part ways. And if things cool down and you want to come back, I think I've proven with guys that are here that we'll do that. The only time I don't let guys come back is if they're toxic or gameplay issues. So overall, I think that there's a whole lot more to be excited about than there is to be upset about. Take the long-term view, help us, get me content, right? Participate, be part of the solution instead of just complaining. And I think that's going to take us where we want to go. So kind of what are your thoughts of things that you've seen or heard so far?
Well, you like I said, you hit it pretty good there. You want to be, and I hate this. I know this sounds cliche, but you want to be a positive Pete here and not a negative Nanny. You want to be everything positive, and I know not everything is always positive, but they got to know that a lot of work's been put in. A lot of even before the league kicked off, man, it was like constant test sliders, test this, see if any glitches are here, see if any glitches are there. How can we make this better? How can we make this more fun? And I think a lot of guys take that kind of I'm not calling out anybody specifically, just people just take it for granted how it all gets thrown together. Um, and it is a lot of work. And like you said, it needs to be a positive thing. This should be a getaway, a fun thing. You know, and I know people say it all the time that what did Dakota or Dwayne, you don't know how it is to go 0-4 or 1-3. Now I have lost 3 or 4 games in a row here, uh, but it's still, man, that's just the fun of it is to get in there and figure out what you're doing wrong, or figure out I'm just glad it's not a pushover league that you're being pushed, and I don't look at anybody as an automatic win here. It's just a good group of guys, and I think that we just need to be positive. If you're and if you're 0-4 and you can be positive, and somebody's looking at you, and that, well, if he can be positive at 0-4 when nothing's going right, then I can be positive at 2-2, or if this trade didn't work out for me, or if this position request didn't get accepted, nobody's out to get anybody here. We're trying to do everything for the best part of the league, and I think you got a good set of people here that run the league and that help run the league, and I think that that everybody just needs to be positive about it. I think that it's going to get better, and I think we've worked a lot of kinks out, and I just think I see nothing but that sounds real cliche too, nothing but sunshine ahead. I think it's going to be all great, and like I said, we have a really good group of guys, and I know that sometimes, especially early in the season, a lot of stuff don't work out for some guys like they anticipated working out, but you just got to stay positive. This is a process. This is 5-6 season league, and man, just enjoy the ride.
Yep, I agree with you. A lot of good things coming, and I think it's going to be a good season. So let's wrap this thing up. What do you think? Closing thoughts for weeks 1-4 in season 74?
I think it went real good, and like you said, and I'm actually surprised and pleasantly surprised. There haven't been really any big FPR issues. Everybody's playing really good. Um, Nobody's been knocking down Chaotic's door with a bunch of complaints. And I'm sure he's thrilled about that, and we're all thrilled about that. And I can't speak for last Madden because I was pretty new, so I was kind of, I didn't really keep up with everything. But these first 3-4 weeks, man, have flown by. People have been really wanting to play their
Yeah, it's
games,
been crazy.
and I love to see that excitement in the OMFL. OMFL 2 games are flying by. Um, yeah, man, I just think it's awesome, and I think it's going to be even better. And I'm just excited for what's ahead.
Yep, I agree. Again, make everybody here feel welcome. We've got a lot more people that are part of our community that are not in the OMFL, and so make sure you make those guys feel welcome. Be a part of the solution. Help us figure this out, because I know that we will. And yeah, I want you to be a part of this for the long haul. So for Dwayne and all the board here in the OMFL, thank you guys for tuning in. Again, we'll look at the stream. If the stream didn't come out well because of the internet